wish you all an abundance of energy, peace, and hearts always filled with love. When we establish a connection, a loving one, there must be an element or the essence of giving. You have to give. You can't say you love someone if you have nothing to give them. If love doesn't involve giving, if there's no generosity, it might just be exploitation or extraction. So when you love someone, or you're aware that you love someone very much, you have to ask yourself if you have something to offer that person. Is it a lot? Do they give you more, or do you give them more? And another very important question is, what have you given? What have you given to the person you love? And to be sure, you should list them on a page. Write down what you have given, are giving, or will give to your loved one. As mentioned, we must have something to be able to love others. We need to have the confidence to love. If you have nothing, it's unlikely the other person will let you love them or agree to establish an emotional connection with you, unless they are your parents. But not all parents, or not all parents, can always love their children unconditionally without expecting anything in return. So, to answer the question, what do you have to offer? What do you have to give to your loved one, or what have you already given? You need to have some quiet moments to sit down. Maybe you can sit and meditate for 5 or 10 minutes to look deeply into the relationship between you and the other person. See the most valuable things, or in other words, the best and most beautiful things you've given to your loved one. Maybe it's material comforts, like giving your loved one a car, a house, a very spacious home, or something else. Or maybe you've given your loved one your honor, your name, your respect, your admiration, which has a positive impact on your loved one. That's called spiritual comfort. And within that spiritual comfort, it also includes the most wonderful, attractive, and sweetest emotions that you've given to your loved one. That is, we divide it into 2 groups. One group belongs to material comforts, and the other belongs to spiritual comforts. But we should also look closely at why you give to your loved one. If you answer generally that it's because you love them, that's not quite it. We should consider the aspect of whether your loved one needs those things, or if it's because you have an excess of those things. So you have to give some away, or if you have a need to give in order to please your loved one, to gain points in their eyes, so they cherish you and strengthen the emotional connection with you. So in the act of giving to your loved one, do you consider whether they really need those things? Sometimes your loved one doesn't need them at all, or needs very little, but you force them to receive a lot because you want to give too much to show your feelings for your loved one, not less. That's just one way of saying it. Another way of saying it is that you want to give too much. You're addicted to giving. You can't stand not giving. Your loved one might say to give less. But you can't stop yourself because the emotions are overflowing. Love overflows, so we feel we have to force our loved ones to accept our gifts. But have we ever observed whether our loved ones are happy with those things? Our loved ones once needed spacious, well-built houses. Back then, when they received those houses, they were truly happy. But now they don't seem happy at all. Our loved ones were also once proud of their position, status, and the honors we brought to the family. Now they see it as normal, nothing to praise or be attracted to. And if we continue in our own way, keep bringing conveniences, material possessions, and honors, keep satisfying that person's emotions, but that person is still not happy, and we still force it because that's all we know, that's all we have. We only know how to bring money home, bring honor home, only know how to satisfy our and their emotional needs temporarily. Then, even though that person isn't happy, they don't feel safe, they don't have much joy, and we still don't know any other way, because we think that's all we have. So, in such a situation, can that relationship be sustainable? I often ask myself, when I do something, am I doing this for myself or for the other person? For myself or for them? In reality, there are times when we know we're doing it for ourselves, for our own need to be doing it more than for their need. But we still force it because we can't control our instincts, emotions, and desires. I wish that whenever we do something, it's either entirely for our loved ones because they really need it. If they need it, we do it. If they don't, we don't. Or at least both they and we need it. We do this both for our loved ones and for ourselves. Then a relationship like that will have fewer difficulties, problems and conflicts, rough patches or cracks. We often think our loved ones need this, so we provide and dedicate ourselves. But in reality, our loved ones don't need those things. They used to, but now they don't need them much anymore. And if we look at our loved ones with old eyes, not updating the situation, not closely observing their current needs, or if we don't have a deep enough perspective to see deep inside and see the profound desires of our loved ones, then we may not be able to satisfy them or help them or make them happy. Or sometimes our loved ones don't even know what they need anymore. They think they need this, but in reality, they need other things. They think they need more material comforts to be happy. They think they need more honor and power to be happy. But if we are insightful, someone who has achieved lasting happiness, then when we look at our loved ones, we see that this need is not satisfactory, not legitimate, not truly the most necessary. They need to be secure. They need peace. They need to be happier. Therefore, we really need many moments of mindfulness. Even though we love that person very much, we always want to tighten the bonds of affection with that person. But there are also times when we need to let go, separate, and each return to our own world to sit in silence and look deeply into the emotional connection between us and that person. Where is it now? What position, what level, how sustainable is it? Don't be subjective. Don't just assume that we are wholeheartedly serving. If someone dedicates everything precious to another, then everything, it won't necessarily be okay. Remember, the human mind is impermanent. Sometimes they want one thing, sometimes another. And our own minds are also impermanent. Sometimes we think one thing is important, then we think something else is more important. So, instead of trying to please our loved ones, to make them peaceful and happy, because when they're happy, we suffer less. They'll nag, complain, and remind us less. Often, we serve the other person to make them happy, but really, we're serving ourselves so they stop attacking and bothering us. But instead of serving their constantly changing needs, we should step back and look deeply into the other person's mind to see what they really need. What's the best thing for them right now? Do they need more material comforts, more honor and power, or do they need something else? Only when we're mindful enough to stop and look deeply and not chase after our own or the other person's emotions, do we need awareness to look at ourselves and the other person and the connection between us to see what to add and what to take away. Remember, add and remove, what to do and what not to do, not just one or the other or only what to do. Sometimes we should ask, what should I not do to help my loved one? Instead of asking, what should I do to help my loved one? Have you ever asked that? What should I remove to help my loved one? Instead of what should I add? Take a moment to be mindful and look deeply at your emotional connection with the person you love most, or the person you're having issues with, psychological blockages, conflicts, and contradictions. Look deeply into this relationship to see what to add or remove, what to do or not do to help your loved one be happy. Laughter. Continue this exercise at home tonight. Write it down specifically. But I'll give you a hand first. Let's list what we should remove or not do to help our loved ones be more peaceful and happy. Our loved ones don't need us to lecture, teach, or analyze them. The sound is good now. Who's right? Who's wrong? Your loved one may just need you to be there. They may not need you to do anything else. You've already done so much. And if you keep doing more, first, what you're doing might not be what they're waiting for or need. Second, the more you do, the more you deplete your energy and lose your loveliness and charm. The more you do, the more negative energy is released and the more toxins are released. So, your loved ones need you to do absolutely nothing. Do. Maybe your loved ones don't have the courage to say it. Like a mother. Mom, if you really want to help me, please don't do anything. Don't say anything. Just sit quietly. Or, my dear loved one, that person could be your husband, wife, or partner. If you truly love me, please, at least for now, don't say anything, don't explain, don't comment, don't judge, don't lecture. Don't try to do anything, not even a comforting word or a valuable gift. I just want you to sit here quietly. I just want you to sit here quietly. I just want Mom and Dad to sit here quietly beside me. Because I know, maybe I know where I went wrong, what difficulties I'm facing. It's not that I don't know. What I need is support. I need a peaceful energy, the trust of my loved ones, of me, of you, and if possible, I hope my loved ones will listen to me. Maybe what I'm saying isn't accurate or completely right. It might even be unfair. But that's all that's in my stream of emotions right now. And I need someone to listen. If you are my loved one, wonder if you are my loved one. If you, my parents, can't listen to me, that's a great loss. Do you think you are the person your loved ones trust enough to pour out all their suffering, pain, and difficulties? Or do your loved ones usually confide in others? Do they share different values with you while their suffering and pain, their inner wounds, do they share those with strangers on the street or online? They don't tell you, even though you are the person they love and respect the most. But maybe, just maybe, you are the person they dread and fear the most. You know, for someone with mental health issues like depression or anxiety disorders, they always see their loved ones, their close ones, sometimes as the most important people to protect them, but sometimes also as the people they fear, who might hurt them again, who might bully them, pressure them, or control their lives, although they don't always think that way. But in a depressive episode, or when an anxiety disorder flares up, their mind weaves terrible images of the person who is caring for them. When you have a loved one who is depressed or mentally distressed at all, and you really want to help them, you need a basic skill. That skill is to listen in silence. Listen in silence, not listen while speaking. In fact, the word listen already contains the quality of silence, because you have to be still to hear. And if you're still, you're not talking or acting rashly. If you're still, there's no commotion, no inner turmoil. So, if you want to hear something deeply, to get to the root of it, you have to let your mind be still. And to be still, you have to meditate. Only walking meditation, only practicing meditation can help your mind be still. You can't just sit there, tense up, and order yourself to be still so you can listen to the other person or listen to them completely. It doesn't work. So you have to have techniques. There are secrets or weapons to help with those afflictions. The ego inside calms down, and you sit there like an expert. A true psychotherapist, a psychologist, or at least you sit next to that person as a friend. Because if you're their friend, you don't have the right to condemn or accuse. Temporarily put that right away. Even though you may have that authority because you are their confidant, for example. But to listen to someone, you can't use authority. You can't order them to speak. Go on, I'm listening. But you have to beg them to speak. Go on. Because if you don't beg them, if you don't show your affection, they'll go talk to someone else. And if you're offended and think, if they want to talk to someone else, go ahead, then you'll lose your loved one. If they want to talk to someone else, go ahead, then you'll lose your loved one. You won't be able to help your loved one. And in the act of listening, you must remember the principle of silence. Even if the other person is wrong, even if they misunderstand, even if they unleash negative energy, you have to sit still, depending on your endurance. If you can sit for 50 minutes, then you can help your loved one for 50 minutes, which is a lot of help. For someone who is suffering in an emotional state, surrounded by afflictions, experiencing a relapse of depression, and if they choose you as the target to vent their anger, their rage, their madness, then you are lucky. Because they're entrusting you with something precious. You must be very kind for them to choose you to vent that anger. Usually, they would never dare to vent on someone who is very fierce and makes them feel unsafe, not to mention dangerous. So, if someone chooses you to be the scapegoat or to dump their garbage on, you should have a little pride in your heart. I'm lucky to be chosen for the other person to pour out all their suffering. Because at least in this moment, I have a bit of divinity, a bit of kindness, and my loved one has trusted me. Maybe you can't listen for half an hour or an hour, but just 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or even just 5 minutes is enough to help your loved one a lot and build more trust in their heart for you. That is, you are someone who can listen to them, or in other words, can help them. And you also build trust in yourself, that you can be someone your loved one trusts, and you can support your loved one. But if you don't feel well, you can ask them for another appointment, maybe this afternoon, tonight, or at the latest, tomorrow morning. You will definitely sit down and listen to them. And at that time, you should be well prepared, not to fight, but to receive the arrows, the storms, and the garbage inside them that will be scattered. So our preparation should be to do walking meditation first. Sit in meditation first, be mindful enough before sitting down to listen to your loved one. Because that person is your loved one. If you don't listen to them, who will listen now? You can't say, I only love you when you're cute. There are times when you're annoying and you have problems and you're toxic, then please go find someone else. But if they find that person, be careful, because the person who can listen to their suffering will become their support. Your loved one needs many things from you, but they may really need a mental crutch at this stage. So, are you a mental support for your loved one? Sometimes you're just the one who provides enough money. You're just someone who can help their loved one with trivial matters. Or are you just someone who brings the sweetest, most fleeting emotions? But it's not certain that you are the person who can uplift the spirit of their loved ones. You are a solid pillar of support for your loved one. To know if you have that ability, one of the key ingredients you need is listening. Tren Kong Sun in the song Silence of the Night, I have listened. Silence of the day, I have listened. Silence of life, I have listened. I have listened to the wandering heart for so many nights. Silence of the person, I have listened. Silence of myself, silence of the river, I have listened. Silence of the hill, I have listened. Silence of a sigh, I have listened. I have listened to the silence of a sigh. After the storm, in the silence of a person, I hear so much pain in one hand. I apologize, the word in here is slightly wrong. The word listening was changed to has listened, meaning I am listening. Before I listen to you, listen to my loved one. I listen to things that are gentler and more pleasant. First, like the silence of the night, the stillness of the river, of the hill, and I listen to my own breath. Then I start to hear all your pain. In this song, Tren Kong Sun has a line I really like. Hear so much pain in one hand. Why in one hand? Because we have a loved one. Someone who says they will be with us for life. Someone who shares all the joys and sorrows with us. Someone we often think of as our whole life, but when we are suffering, where do they disappear to? Where do they hide? They are not there with us to share our suffering and pain. So, a hand that should be held by another hand, a hand of someone who is not suffering and is stronger than us. Sadly, in that moment, we don't have the luck to hold another hand. Your loved one, too, might be raising their hand to ask for help, begging you not to say anything more, begging you not to do anything more. Just be silent, just sit down, and if possible, please listen to their suffering and pain. That means you have extended a hand to support your loved one. Here, so much pain in one hand, I am listening to the silence of love. After a love affair, I am listening when flowers wither and die, the silence of fading buds. I am listening. 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 Silence wins life. And after a failed relationship with so much turmoil inside, I often sit quietly to look back at myself and look at the suffering and pain of the other person. Maybe before that, I had blamed, accused, condemned, even cursed them. But luckily for me, I was able to stop drifting along with those temporary negative emotions, to step back and observe myself, listen to my breath, listen to the silence of the night, listen to the peace returning. And in that moment, I see that the other person is suffering even more than I am. They are a victim of circumstances, of their family background. They are a victim of so many unfortunate things happening in their life. And they are also a victim of their own inner turmoil, which they have never had the opportunity, as lucky as I am, to sit down and reflect, to filter out or transform some of it. I practice meditation, I have methods, or I have more willpower, or the losses in my heart are less than theirs. So, even though they cause me pain, but I'm pretty sure that if someone's happy, they won't ever cause me pain. The reason they cause me pain is because they're unhappy, because they can't manage all the garbage in their heart. They don't know how to deal with their suffering, pain, and deadlocks. So they react haphazardly. And I might be a target that they choose, and deep down they believe that I won't kick back. I won't retaliate, I won't hurt them back. But unfortunately I did, because I'm also a pitiful person. I also have suffering, pain, and wounds inside. But I'm lucky, I know how to meditate. I know how to sit and look back, and in this stillness I see everything. I know why I reacted that way and why they reacted that way. We're all victims of a life that's too rushed, too monotonous, too harsh, in which both they and I don't have the opportunity to nurture our souls every day of our lives, in which every day they and I have to strain ourselves to solve tons of tasks, not having time to sit and eat together. No time to exercise, do yoga, or read good books, to be watered with the positive seeds of tolerance, generosity, and altruism, of the good values that they and I once cared about and strived for and once tried to nurture. And so I don't want to blame them, but I just want to truly love them. And love here might just mean not wanting to cause each other pain anymore. Not causing pain to someone, not causing pain to your loved one is a great way of showing love. It's not always necessary to do something. If there's one greatest thing we can do for our loved ones, it's to not cause them pain anymore. Don't keep condemning and accusing. Don't keep tormenting and trampling on each other. Don't keep spreading toxic substances. And if there's one kindest thing I can do for that person, it's that no matter what they're like, I'll still be their loved one and will never hurt them. That's the kindest thing. There might be kinder things, but for me, the kindest thing I can do for them right now is to promise myself and promise them that I will not continue to hurt them ever again. Do you find it difficult? No, it's not hard to listen to music. Not listening to music is easy, but listening to that is hard. Listening to the grinding, complaining, blaming, accusing words, and what's most awful is being condemned. You're the one who makes me suffer. You're the one who's trampling on my life. Or you, mom and dad, are the ones who created the wounds in my heart. We can't bear those words because at that time, our loved ones only remember what we've done to harm them. In their distress, in their negative emotions, in the return of the monster of depression inside them, they only focus on and dwell on our weaknesses, our shortcomings, the bad things, the unpleasant things we've done to them. Or they might even just remember the past. Not that we're causing them pain in this moment, but at that time they behave, they treat us as if we're the ones chaining them, causing them real pain. And if we're not strong, if we're not stable, if we don't call love back in time, we might retaliate we might spew poison again. We can't believe it. We can't imagine it. That person, just a few minutes ago, they were an extremely lovely person, even very respectful and admiring of us. But a few minutes later, they become a different person, switching channels suddenly, even when you haven't done anything wrong. You don't say anything to touch their wounds, but the depression comes back without warning. Sometimes it's triggered by external factors, sometimes automatically from within, due to imagination, doubt, or excessive speculation, or anxiety disorders that touch the wound, causing the monster to break free and step out. And alas, we, who are their closest confidants, are the ones who have to endure so much of that torment. And if at that moment we don't remember or realize that they are depressed, that they are suffering greatly, that they are victims of their own suffering and pain, if we can't remember that, we only remember them as normal people. They used to be healthy. They used to be successful. They used to be proud and boastful of themselves. So why are they like this now? That's why we can't accept it. And we still believe that they really want to attack us, want to poison us. Then of course we'll kick back. But if we live with awareness, mindfulness, and full consciousness that our loved one is suffering greatly, that our loved one is depressed and the depression is returning, that they have deep wounds in their soul that they haven't healed yet. If we live with that awareness, we have a different attitude when we receive the garbage they throw at us. How can we remember when we're so busy? Life is too stressful. We're always living in a state of exhaustion, fatigue, working like crazy, working like an ox, not playing around. We don't have time to sit there and listen to their suffering and pain all the time. Why don't they give us a warning? When they have an episode, they should warn us a few days in advance to prepare. Why so sudden? So you see, is loving difficult or not? Please say it loudly. Is it difficult? Yet you're so jealous, pretending to love everyone. If we knew it was difficult, we'd do the easy thing first, then the difficult thing later. The easiest thing is to love ourselves first. But I bet you'll say that loving ourselves is the difficult thing. Loving others is easier because when we love others, we can still deceive. But how can we deceive ourselves when we love ourselves? When we love others, we can still put on a show and cope. But when we love ourselves, how can we put on a show and cope with ourselves? In the Buddha's enlightenment, the Buddha wants us to love ourselves first. He thinks that's the most stable and safest thing to do. When we love ourselves, we solve all our problems, heal all the wounds in our hearts, and make ourselves always strong and full of the energy of peace and love. Then when we love someone else, we only give, only be a safe and solid support for our loved ones, only be able to inspire, share positive energy, and activate the positive seeds of our loved ones. But we don't have the good fortune to realize that from a young age we weren't taught that carefully. More precisely, we didn't have the environments to be trained in that way. We're too influenced by what's called the collective consciousness. How the community lives around us, our grandparents, parents, relatives, friends, neighbors, and the society around us, however they live, we only know how to live that way. Now, if we want to learn how to love ourselves, right now we don't know where to learn it. What books teach it? What schools teach it? What environments train us to become someone who knows how to love themselves? Because we can't love ourselves. We have to go love others. Does that sound strange? It sounds completely off. Because we don't know how to love ourselves, we ask others to love us by loving them first, then they love us back later. So we say to the other person, don't love me, let me love you first, then you love me back. I don't need to love myself. You don't love yourself, let me love you first, then you love me back. That's just how it is, you know. You don't say it, but the message is clear. Don't love others, just love me. And then we start the adventure of loving each other. The starting point is good. It seems healthy and stable, but it only lasts a few watches. Some people last a few weeks. Others with strong will, maybe 2 years, and then their true colors start to show. That person will start declaring, let me love myself. You just love. Then you suspect something's up. There's an agenda. That's when we start to realize it's very difficult to love someone continuously and only bring them joy and happiness. It's very hard to do that, and it seems impossible. We can only do well for a few watches, a few hours. But if we continue to be wrapped around each other or face to face all the time, we'll inevitably, mostly unintentionally, hurt each other. Because every few watches it will return. Who is it? The beast within. The afflictions return. Just anxiety, just stress, overload. Just a little annoyance is enough to poison the other person, enough to cause harm. Or we can do it this way. When we're stable, let's get close. Let's commit to that. But when we're unstable, signal to distance ourselves and say, it's back. The depression is back. Tell your loved ones that. It's a way, though not the best way. But it protects each other. When you're about to go crazy, tell your loved one, I'm about to lose it. Warn them so they can press the disappear button for 5 minutes so you don't hurt them and so you don't lose confidence in yourself. Because after attacking the other person, there's no joy in it. There's no pride in attacking your loved one, and you'll never gain confidence from having them in a chokehold. Only a collapse of faith in yourself and regret for making the person who has endured you so much suffer. So that's one way we can use it whenever we detect the beast returning, the wound reactivating. First, tell your loved ones, the people you trust and are close to, tell them it's returning, or somehow signal with a wink or something to let the other person know you're unstable. And next, we should separate ourselves and find a place to do walking meditation, to sit in meditation, do lying meditation, relaxation meditation, or simply go outside to connect with nature, with the healing energy of the earth and sky. In general, we consciously want to control the beast. We must take responsibility for the wounds in our hearts. Instead of seeing it the old way, identifying with it, giving the beast all the power to roar, destroy everything, and then we regret it and despise ourselves. If you want to help your loved one, one of the best things, do you think we should offer our loved one a way for them to take care of their suffering and pain? At the beginning, we said we offer our presence, we offer our listening, we offer the stable, peaceful energy for them to lean on. And do we think we should offer them something even more positive, which is to help them have a way out, a way for them to take better care of themselves? And one of the things that contributes to this positive action is to step back and give them space. Don't rush in to take on their suffering every time you see them struggling. We must help them to be self-motivated and invite in wholesome qualities that are deep within their souls. Because I often say that the medicine to depressed psychological syndromes and suffering and pain is within us, not outside of us. So one of the best things we can do for our loved ones is to show them a path, a way. Maybe at first we sit close to them, invite them to have tea with us, invite them to go for a walk with us, or sit mindfully and follow their breath with us. But if they're still leaning on us, then what we need to do to help our loved ones is to gently let go so they still feel safe and can return to relying on themselves. So let me say it again. Earlier, I said that if there's one kind thing we can do for our loved ones, it's not to cause them suffering, not to hurt them. Then, the next kind thing we can offer our loved ones is to help them heal the wounds in their souls, open up a safe and stable path. To put it simply, it's helping our loved ones return to relying on themselves. Do you dare to do it? Or are you afraid that when your loved ones return to relying on themselves, they won't depend on you anymore? Meaning they won't adore you anymore, they won't see you as number one anymore, they won't need you every moment, so you feel worthless, feel neglected, feel like you've lost your place in your loved one's heart. So you're unwilling to let go and continue to find ways for them to depend on you. You want your loved ones to give you their whole lives, but you're not sure you can make them happy for life, because you know very well that you can't make yourself happy for life constantly from moment to moment. So how can you do that for your loved ones? Is that right or not? Let me repeat, there are two kind things which I consider the kindest, that we can do for our loved ones. The first is not to hurt our loved ones. If we've already done it, don't do it again. The second thing, the second kindness, is to help our loved ones return to relying on themselves instead of depending on us. It's not about shirking responsibility or duty. We're still there. If you fall, I'll lift you up. If I fall, you can lift me up too. But if you don't fall, I don't need to lift you up. If I haven't fallen, you don't need to stand there waiting for it. You go back to taking care of your life, and I'll go back to taking care of my life. Mom, you go meditate, and I'll go meditate too. It's not about us sitting there, confiding in each other forever, explaining ourselves forever, and solving the problem. Sometimes, all it takes is for us to stop talking. Each person returns to relying on their island of self, finding refuge in themselves, finding refuge in the present. Each person creates their own peace, which creates peace for each other. Then there will be no more suffering. Suffering each other is supporting each other's lives. It's already very difficult to bring peace to our loved ones. But helping our loved ones find peace within themselves is extremely difficult. But if we can do it, then I think we are truly their loved ones. Because they can live very well without us. Or do we not want that? We don't want our loved ones to live well without us. Then our love it smacks of selfishness. I want my loved ones to always be safe and happy. So, one of the fundamental responsibilities, or to put it more sweetly, one of the greatest gifts, something we should do, add in, perhaps at this moment, is to help our loved ones turn inward to create inner peace. Before we created peace for them, no talking, no blaming, no accusing, just being there, absolutely silent, listening. Now the next step is to help our loved ones return to themselves so they can create their own peace within. Because peace is so magical. Peace is simply when the troubles subside, when the agitations subside, when the desires and demands subside. That's the state of peace. In short, it's not wanting anything anymore. That's peace. And be careful of wanting anything, even something small, because unease immediately arises and you lose your peace immediately. Peace immediately. Musician Kwok Bao says, a moment of peace and softens the heart. Just a little bit of calm, a little bit of peace, just a moment, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then your heart softens. At that moment, it's very tense, like a bomb about to explode. You might even want to eat someone alive. You see that person as a monster, because inside you, a monster is burning. When your heart is like that, you'll see everyone around you the same way. But if you have a magic trick, that is, in a flash, you don't look outward anymore, you turn inward. Actually, this magic trick is something you've cultivated yourself. So you can rely on your breath and on an object, a subject that's present in the moment, especially on your own body. Bring your mind back to your body, unite them, so your mind has a place to rest, no longer wandering, no longer adventuring, no longer drifting, no longer lost. Then a moment of peace appears and your heart softens. A moment of peace softens the heart. Peace enters the night. Peace allows flowers to bloom. Peace allows the moon to shine. Peace allows life to cherish the shore. Peace unexpectedly turns our hearts into a sacred verse piece. Musician Kwok Bao has some phrases like verses of poetry that are very beautiful and very accurate. And I'm sure he's had some special experiences like that. So let peace emerge like a flower in bloom, because if peace is still gestating, still hidden inside, you know you have a different perspective, a different feeling, not just this feeling, not just this view. But if you want to switch to a different channel, you need a specific method, a concrete method, a very special tool: meditation. Only meditation, which means turning back, turning inward, relying on yourself, not paying attention to the object anymore, not paying attention to the circumstances anymore. Steadfast Prince on the subjects, on the objects within yourself, then you see peace makes a flower bloom, which is a life, a freshness arising in your heart, because you see flowers everywhere. Before, you saw trash everywhere. When your heart isn't at peace, it's uneasy. And when a moment of peace returns, you see everything as flowers. The people you love are also flowers. A flower blooms in your heart, a flower blooms outside. Peace allows the moon to rise. Kwok Bao means clarity. The moon represents illumination, lucidity, wisdom, and awareness. Awareness has returned. Before, you might have been identified with, caught up in the emotional storm. You wanted to eat them alive. You wanted to retaliate against the person who was hurting you. But you can break free. You can step back, and you only gain this skill when you've practiced a meditation for a while, have experienced stepping back to observe. In reality, this is just a temporary emotion, a fleeting phenomenon. I am more than just this phenomenon. I am not this emotion. I am something much greater, containing the essence of peace, like a flower or the moonlight. Peace allows the moon to shine brightly, peace to cherish the shore. Because life needs a shore to exist, and it also needs waves to enrich the alluvium. Peace to see the value of interaction and mutual nurturing. One exists because of the other. Thanks to our loved ones, we are who we are today. The second verse is also very beautiful. Peace, are full of wind, brings you home. In peace, we wait to hear love beating in our hearts, to hear love sparkle. Peace for the sun to shine on sweet lips. Peace, or rejoice. Rejoice that you're free from pain, back here in warmth. Rejoice that you know how to cherish love. Before, we demanded so much from our loved ones. Now, we only need them to come back and be present. And more than that, now we only wish for our loved ones to awaken and find some peace within their hearts. How can we bring that little bit of peace from our hearts and place it into the hearts of our loved ones? I think they will be different, and they will also be different in their own eyes. And when their hearts are different, the way they see us will also change. How can we bring peace and put it into the hearts of our loved ones? We can only bring money home. We can buy a spacious house. We can bring power, but how can we bring peace into the hearts of our loved ones? The only way is for us to be peaceful first, to be skilled in creating peaceful energy. But the question is, can we do that? Or are we only good at conquering others, but not at conquering ourselves, transforming and subduing the afflictions in our hearts? We are constantly restless, despite being very talented and having a big heart, but we can't deny it. Because every time we appear before our loved ones, they suffer and get tired. Our loved ones may not need our talents. Our loved ones may not need our tolerance, generosity, or lavishness. What our loved ones need most now is very precious. It's the peace within, and more than that, it's helping our loved ones to create peace within themselves. Can you do that? And if you can't, you might lose your loved ones. Not being able to help them, there's no greater pain. The person we love, and we can't help them. Seeing them sink into suffering and not being able to do anything. Don't think that just because we are the loved one of our loved one, we are the mother of our child, we are the father of our child, we share a pillow with our loved one, that we can help them. You can only help with other things, which may just be mundane, everyday things. But for such deep levels, such profound values, you don't have the ability. Actually, you do have the ability, but you don't believe you do. You don't believe that you can create peace within. And society makes you believe that creating so many attractive things in the world for you to believe in the glamorous and attractive things outside. So you abandon yourself. And when you love someone, unfortunately, when they need that value and you don't have it to give, then don't complain. Don't ask why that person left or turned their back on you. Because they know they owe you, but what they need is someone who can give them that energy. Someone who can help them create peace within. It seems so difficult. Back then, when I was in love, I didn't know about these things. Now I've just realized it. That's why Zen Master Osho said something that you might not like. The most harmful or worst thing for humans is loving others. And according to me, Osho is right to some extent. That is, when you don't know how to love yourself. Let me help explain Osho's point. So you don't get angry at Osho. If you try to love others without loving yourself, you'll inevitably cause them suffering. Don't think loving someone is easy. It's incredibly hard. And for me, it's the same. If you asked me right now what I find most difficult, my answer would be loving others effectively. And by effective, I mean bringing them peace and happiness. Effective here means bringing peace and happiness to them. Sometimes I can't even manage that. I mean, I've dedicated my whole life to creating that peaceful energy, but there are cases where I have to hold my breath and grit my teeth. But because that's my life's mission, my main job, I have to immediately return to nurturing myself, to cultivating my inner strength, so I can continue to love that person. At least for me, if I can't love them, I won't hate them. If I can't accept them, I'll leave it be and accept them another day. I won't label them as dangerous or someone who needs to be eliminated. At least I can do that. And I know I still have a lot to learn to be able to accept everyone in this world. There's this delusional person who emails me every few days with a letter saying, "Master, let's break up. I think you've made me suffer enough. We have affinity but no debt." And another letter said, "Why do you keep clinging to me? I've told you I'm not worthy of you, and you love too many people. If you love me, you'll make me suffer." Then another day, "Let's go to court." And then the person said, "Actually, I don't even know who you are anymore. I'm going to take all those love letters you sent me by hand. You like reading and writing letters, and post them on Facebook to embarrass you." So I texted back, "You should see a therapist." And they retorted, "You're the one who can help me. If you run away, who will?" That's just one small incident among many that have happened on my journey. And there are times when I'm stunned, times when I react a little, and I've seen that. What I might be a little better at than you is recognizing it in time and knowing how to handle it quickly when I react to someone who's attacking me. So, as many people say, loving is an art. I think it's more than just an art, it's hard work. Work hard first, then love, then show love. Don't think it's easy. The more you love, the more you suffer. Whereas we can love without causing others suffering, even love in a way that brings happiness. Love is beautiful, but how many people touch the beautiful meaning of love? Instead, they touch all the wrong things, like other people's pain. Because once you fall into that, you can't wake up. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when you have someone you love, you're so busy with them that you don't have time for yourself. You forget to take care of yourself. You forget to improve your qualities. Because loving someone else is harder than just loving yourself. And when you have a child or more members in the family, you have to be much better to lead them, to guide them on a bright path of happiness and sustainability in life. Instead, the more members there are, the more time you spend running around trying to meet their needs, which are often very trivial. They don't even need it. But you still go out of your way to please them, to make them happy. They're happy, then they're sad in an instant. And in the end, what they need from you is peace and stability, which you don't have. And when you're at peace, like Kwok Bao said in his song, peace is when you realize that the suffering we've accidentally inflicted on each other is also a necessary ingredient. Before that, when your soul isn't at peace, we resent the harsh words or the rude attitudes of that person. But when we're at peace, we see it as a necessary ingredient for growth, to grow wiser together and come back to thank you for making me suffer. Thank you for tormenting me. Thanks to you, I've grown. Because of you, I know to turn back and search for myself. If you were always so nice, I'd probably give up on my life. Now you're annoying, so I have no one to rely on. That forces me to turn back and rely on myself. So everyone, you have to be annoying. Make your loved ones a little tired of you, so they'll be willing to turn back, to rely on themselves. If we keep being attractive all the time, it means we don't truly love them. I sometimes call that a bit cruel. So one day we get tired of them. Tired of them, we ride off, leaving behind a hollow soul, addicted to the emotions that we planted in their minds. Who takes responsibility for that? Then a song will well up in their heart, a saying that you only want the other person to be at peace. You don't want anything else. Don't want to argue about who's right or wrong. Don't want the other person to do anything more for you to be satisfied. Don't want to blame anyone anymore. But what you want most, what you want to say most, is to be happy that the person has learned to feel sorry for their life and to feel sorry for the emotional connection between the two of you. Before, that person thought that they loved their family very much, loved their loved ones very much, but unintentionally, they made their loved ones suffer through their way, their attitude to life, and in that they didn't know how to take care of the wounds in their hearts. Now they're sitting here so happy. They have agreed to sit still and live with you, and you have sat still and lived with them so that both can return to themselves and take care of the wounds in their hearts. And when you open your eyes and look, what's in front of you is no longer a beast, but someone very lovable. Your third eye has been opened. As musician Tren Kong Sun said, the remaining eye, meaning you can only use one eye. Actually, you use two, but they have the same way of seeing, so it's like using one. The other eye isn't on your eye, it's inside. And when you're at peace, it will open that eye. It sees that your loved one isn't a beast, looking at you lovingly, looking at you like a beast. Meaning sometimes I see you as a beast, but in this moment, the moment I'm at peace, and even better, you're also at peace. I see you as very lovable, very pitiful, very worthy for me to trust and accompany you. So we need peace more than anything else. If there's a best gift for each other, it's helping each other find their way back to peace in their souls. Thank you everyone for listening. Miraculous changes. Or you can ask more questions for me about how to subdue the beast in your heart so you can have peace. Or how you can do what I've been talking about, which is offering the best thing to your loved ones. That's the capacity to hold peace. In short, It's asking and answering. Please raise your hands. You're welcome. Hello, Master, and hello, everyone. My question is, how do we have enough courage to turn back and love ourselves? Because sometimes when we turn back, we see that we're not so good, and we don't see the good values in ourselves. Like you often say, return to your home, so that your home is as beautiful as other homes. But sometimes when we return, we only see bad luck and troubles. So it's better to stay at someone else's house for comfort. Yes, thank you. It's not that comfortable, you only get a few hours of comfort. So, actually, when you're conscious of wanting to return, to elevate, I think that's wonderful, because there are many people who still aren't aware of that. They keep clinging or blaming others. But when you realize that true happiness comes from within, or that suffering and pain also come from within, then you'll want to return to heal and resolve your inner issues, or at least to awaken the good values within yourself. That awareness, that desire is already a significant step. What remains is that you need to learn more techniques for returning to rely on yourself. And if you're guided, like by me, I'll guide you. You shouldn't rush to rely deeply on your soul. Rely on the layers that are simpler, which are also within you. In fact, first you must return to nature first. Spend time alone. No music, no phone, no conversations. Don't let your mind wander out of the present moment. You with the sky, you with the fields, you with your bicycle, you with the river, you with the cute animals around you. That's the easiest step you can take. Or you with your sport. Because while you're playing sports, you unintentionally reconnect with your body, your muscles, your breath, with every movement and gesture. You've already returned to yourself in some way, although there are sports where you have to interact with others and there's competition, so those sports limit yourself. You should spend time practicing alone, where there's no winning or losing, no fighting. And after you return to yourself through nature and sports, then you can start to take a deeper step, like practicing yoga. Yoga helps you pay more attention to every movement, gesture, and shift. Pay close attention to every muscle inside you and connect deeply with your breath. Then, little by little, you'll connect more deeply. You'll return to your breath through meditation, through full body relaxation, through the sensations that pass through you, from pleasant sensations to unpleasant sensations or neutral sensations, so that you can enter the thing that is very fierce and terrifying, which is the lair of the beast of the ego. In that place, there are wounds, negative emotions, and unpleasant things that you've created in the past. There are ingrained habits. Your bad habits are all in there. But when you go through those exercises beforehand, you'll have a certain inner strength, and you'll have a certain acceptance of yourself. You could say that you've become quite familiar with yourself and have connected quite deeply with yourself. Then, when you go into those explorations of those formidable places, you'll have prepared a spirit, ready an energy to receive those negative energies that spill out. Because before that, you learned how to receive the pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral sensations that pass through you. You'll get used to returning to accept the things you don't expect, the things that aren't pleasant. And when you start to go inside to receive anger, worry, selfishness, a doubt, and you with a different spirit, a different attitude, a different energy to face it, then you'll be fully qualified, brave enough, and have enough faith to look straight at that beast. But actually there are times when your energy weakens, your practice isn't continuous, not diligent enough for you to create that mindful energy. Then you, even if you've meditated for a long time, you'll still occasionally fail, be crushed, completely destroyed by your afflictions. But you're different from your former self, or those who don't practice good, in that you get up very quickly. You immediately return to your subject, to your practice, to rebuild that mindful energy or awakened energy. Then you continue to confront your beast, even if you don't face your anger or your suffering and pain. You continue to build your meditation practice on the lovely, pleasant subjects around you or on your own body. Then, when you have enough energy, you can face the darkness inside. But with that powerful, mindful energy, when you delve into your soul, it's not just garbage, it has fruits. It has a world that is very magical and shimmering inside. It has the energy of peace. It has tolerance and generosity. It has compassion. It has deep understanding. All those things are incredibly precious, and you might be very surprised because inside you have such a large treasure. So it's not just darkness, but also other wonderful spaces that you will see. And I wish you success. Thank you. Master, I salute you, Master, and the community. In your lecture today, I think that the goodness and love for each other also come from both sides when both have love and think about each other. It's just how we overcome and restrain the monster inside each person. But in this case, I want to ask you, if my loved one has found love in another place, and although I have taken the time to listen and return to my heart, I don't know how to resolve the situation where one person has directed their love elsewhere while I keep turning back to them. And I don't know how to handle it. And I have returned to myself. But during the time I returned to myself, that person left completely. And when I felt that I had peace in my heart, I said that the best thing my loved one wants is what my loved one can choose and go to that other love. But now the loved one doesn't leave, saying that they have loved elsewhere, but still doesn't want to leave and continues to sow those toxins into my life. Now, within myself, new pains and resentments are starting to arise again. Now I have to turn back to myself again. Should I? Or should I do something crazy to provoke that person so that I can end a situation where there is no longer any love for each other. Thank you, Master. Thank you for asking a very good question. Before answering directly your main question, I would like to address another part first. When your loved one directs their love towards someone else, of course, we are not highly cultivated individuals with many good qualities or enlightenment. We are still human. We might be okay at this moment, but unstable the next. There is a war going on inside. The kind and lovely person inside us comes out and says that we should let that person go according to their wishes. But inside, we also have very human demands, wanting that person to belong to us. The war is very big. But even if we try to keep that person, and that person still continues to turn towards someone else, some people ask me, in that case, how should we handle our feelings, and how should we handle that person? I say that we should tell that person, thank you for releasing my life, even though it's not easy to say this. In fact, you might never be able to say it. But at least you know that you have to go in that direction. You have to try to find a way to put your consciousness in that position so that you can be at peace. Because when that person betrays us, of course we will be upset. We will collapse. We will almost lose half or even our entire life, because we give that person so much. But maybe after some time, that person has already left. Some people need a few months, some even need a few years to start healing that wound. Then they realize that only when that person withdraws from our life can we truly return to ourselves. Or when that person causes us pain and hurts us, then we are willing to turn back. If that person is still lovely and still has a lot of sweetness for us to pour our jar into and suck from, we won't easily want to leave that person, returning to yourself. In other words, the day that person entered your life was the day you lost your freedom, lost your innocent, pure, and honest self. You have to live a different life, one where you have to please others. So when that person leaves your life, from one perspective, you're a loss, you're pitiable, you're pathetic. But from another perspective, you see this as the day you're free and independent, able to rely on yourself, forced to return to yourself. Those losses are a bell. That bell rings and reminds you that you only have one way to return to yourself. But not everyone has this experience. After that event, some immediately look for someone else to fill the void of their loneliness. That's a harmful failure, not less. And I often advise you to take time for yourself immediately after those events. And surely, not less, you realize that you should thank the other person for leaving to release your life. But usually, no one can escape that feeling right after the person leaves. There's only resentment and pain. So you've done something, and I don't know if you're resentful or not. You haven't reported, so I don't know. But based on your sharing, I know you've returned to relying on yourself. Whether you retaliated, resented, or harbored toxicity, I'm not considering that issue. I'm just happy for you because you've returned to relying on yourself. That's the first step, and I suggest you acknowledge your success. Next, now that the person loves someone else but doesn't want to leave and still stays, how will you handle this person? The important thing you should ask is whether you still love this person or not. Are you truly in love? If you truly are, then continue to extend your hand to support and awaken your loved one. And I believe that a genuine love, a love without much self-interest, without many conditions, a gentle love, a love with much peaceful healing, love like a friend or a sibling, a brother, loving a brother only with support, sharing and listening. Hopefully, you can awaken the other person's heart. If you truly still love this person, then do that. Consider it giving each other a chance. But if you carefully consider that you no longer love them, and you just want to continue living a free life, returning to relying on yourself, then gently and very lightly help the other person wake up and take responsibility for their life, and don't continue clinging to your life. Ask that person to release your life. Put it down very gently. Don't continue to cause harm. Don't be rash. Don't be toxic. Because you've come this far, you have to try a little further, so that if you break up and no longer accompany each other in this life, then the person will still believe that there are kind people like you in the world. But if you respond like ordinary people, that the person makes you suffer, so you'll make them suffer back, that the person attacks you, so you'll attack back, then I'm sure you never want that. So continue to maintain your practice, to maintain your form. Whenever you feel tired, stressed, or annoyed, don't say anything. Don't meet that person. When you feel you have a lot of peaceful energy, then put a very important issue down very gently. That is, tell them to go back and take responsibility for their life. And you will go back and take responsibility for your life. Then our affinity ends here. If you can't do that, it means you're weak. You know the other person is making you suffer, but you still let them make you suffer. Or you know that you have to speak up, but you can't. And if you speak up, you're only being toxic. Then you have to deal with those emotions first. I think that when you rely on yourself enough, with enough inner strength, you'll be able to do that. Tell that person what's deep down in your heart, and I wish you success. I respectfully greet the Master and all the congregation. First of all, I want to send my gratitude to the Master and express a lot of gratitude to the Buddha for leaving behind such wonderful foundations of Buddhist teachings. I'm not a Buddhist, and I've been searching for many years for how to have a life that is truly peaceful and happy. I've also read many books and attended many courses on personal development. But I still feel that my life still has a lot of instability. And by a very lucky chance, I learned about a meditation through a few books and heard a few of the lectures. From the Dharma talks of the Masters, I found a path to attain a truly peaceful and happy life, not clinging to external things, but relying on myself. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity I've had. I'm very grateful to you, Master, and also grateful for the virtues that the Buddha left behind, which are of great value to me and everyone else. And my question today is that for the past 2 years, I've had a concern. When I read books, I understand that I need to love myself. Only when I know how to love myself correctly can I love those around me in the right way. But there's a very fine line between knowing how to love myself correctly and falling into the trap of selfishness. So how can I know if I'm loving myself correctly and not just being selfish? That's all. Thank you. That's a very good question. When you love yourself correctly, you're not indulging in desires to serve your own enjoyment, satisfying material or mental comforts. Not less. Loving yourself means you want to take responsibility for your life. Instead of wanting others to take responsibility, or at least wanting to take responsibility for most of your life, and the other person only a small part. From there, you'll take care of your negative emotions. You spend more time understanding yourself, bringing healthy energy into yourself, from the physical to the spiritual. You read good books, consume healthy food, spend time with good friends, and practice meditation, listen to Dharma talks. In general, that time is more like hard training. At first, it doesn't feel as wonderful as going out to enjoy yourself, going shopping, going to restaurants, or traveling. There's a bit of hard training in it. And the hard training becomes even greater when you have to face the darkness in your heart. That's clearly an act of love that requires a lot of inner strength to be able to understand and accept yourself. You can see very clearly that doing it correctly means making yourself more peaceful and making yourself lighter. And your ego becomes weaker and weaker, giving way to altruism for others. While you're loving yourself, you always nurture the intention to turn back and reach out to help your loved ones. You have those profound experiences, and you want your loved ones to have them too. You have peace, and you want your loved ones to have peace too. You nurture the hope that when your soul is truly at peace, you'll help your loved ones heal their wounds by radiating your peaceful energy, by helping your loved ones know how to return to themselves. So the act of returning to yourself in the right way always implicitly nurtures the intention to turn back and help your loved ones. But turning inward the wrong way means that every day you only indulge yourself. You just cater to your desires. Your ego gets bigger and bigger, and you increasingly see too many shortcomings in your loved ones, wanting to distance yourself, wanting to exclude them, even wanting to cause them suffering. That kind of turning inward is not the right way, or it has selfishness in it. I'm also wondering how to love my loved ones correctly. Sometimes when I observe myself, it seems like sometimes I have a possessive mindset, like when someone else does something, I can feel like I can find their good points and sympathize with them. But when it involves my possessions, like my children or my husband, then things start to happen. My mind starts racing. I do this for my children's or my husband's good, but in doing so, I inadvertently poison them. So how can I recognize this possessiveness, and how can I know the right way to love my loved ones? The answer is, love them less. That's the easiest way to put it. Very difficult, right? If someone doesn't love their loved ones enough, I suggest they love them more. But if someone loves their loved ones too much, I suggest they love them less. Loving them less doesn't mean giving in to your own selfishness or indifference. It means still caring, still following, still aware of everything happening to my loved one. But I know that when I interfere without fully managing my emotions or unnecessary affection, it can create dependence, reliance, and even contempt in my loved one's heart. So, restraining my affection is a necessary practice while loving someone. You might even feel very painful when you see your child fall and you resist running to pick them up. Because if you do, they'll expect it. Their mind will register the information that they should wait for someone to help them up. But if you stand and watch, telling them, "Get up, I'm here for you," offering moral support, your child will realize they can get up on their own. So when you love, you help your loved ones gain strength. As the Master's talk mentioned earlier, helping them believe in themselves and rely on themselves. That's true love. So you have to practice loving your loved ones less. Specifically, stop interfering. Let them solve their own problems. Meanwhile, turn inward and build your inner strength. Spend time taking care of yourself. Sometimes stand there, observe, offer moral support, or if then pretend to ignore them so the other person knows there's no one to cling to depend on, to demand from, or rely on anymore, forcing them to return to themselves. Sometimes you have to use the words "a cold" and strict. Ignore them a little so the other person is forced to return to themselves. This is a very difficult practice, especially for women who naturally possess the instinct to give everything when they love, without any hesitation. But if you place your love in the wrong place, it can be dangerous, even harmful to your loved one. So, in the process of loving your loved ones, you must also practice meditation. Start by practicing meditation. Because when you practice meditation, you suddenly realize you have another thing to do. Turn inward to sit in peace and care for your feelings. When you have some inner strength, restraining your affection becomes more effective. But if you're told to stand there and watch your loved one in need, and you don't have the strength to resist interfering, it's very difficult for you. So start by practicing meditation. But if you still find it difficult to start with meditation, then start by exercising. Because, as I said, exercising is partly returning to yourself, having a world, a space dedicated to yourself. Exercising develops inner strength, physical strength, but it also boosts mental strength. Exercising is sometimes easier than meditating, and I wish you success. Yes, I greet you, Master, and everyone. I want to ask a question. Sometimes love comes with conditions, like my loved ones, my parents, for example. They demand, not demand, but when they love me, of course. I have certain obligations to fulfill for them, like achieving some great accomplishments to, for example, repay my parents' nurturing. But there are things I feel I can't do, like achieving very grand achievements that I feel are beyond my capabilities. So I want to ask, how can I express to my loved ones that my energy doesn't allow me to fulfill their conditions for love? Thank you, Master. Thank you for your question. This is a very good question, very good. And I think many young people can relate to you. Sometimes your parents think those things are the best things for you and for the family or for them. But I think that when you love your loved ones, you don't necessarily have to fulfill all their needs or desires. If those are legitimate desires, then you should try to fulfill them as much as possible. And if you can't do it now, you can do it later. But if you know those things aren't legitimate needs, then you have another option. Help them see other values that are more important. That is, you must have the ability to redirect other people's thinking in your way, which you believe is more correct and more legitimate. This depends on your mettle. To have mettle, you need motivation. And the motivation here is having two things. One is your deep love for your parents. You want your parents to see a different value than just what they want. And when they have those other values, they'll be happier. And the second motivation is that you must truly love yourself so that you fight for your freedom and independence. It's time for you to tell your parents that those things don't suit you, even if they're legitimate, but don't suit you. Or they're not really legitimate because you know there are other values that are more legitimate and suit you better. So your question remains, which is how can you express those things? I think there are a few steps. First, if you can't face them directly, you need allies. You need siblings, relatives, extended family, anyone your parents trust. For example, if your parents understand the heart, or they minium, then get them to help by turning on YouTube, not by inviting them over. Give them a book so your parents can hopefully have the chance to absorb and accept the ideas in it, because it presents other values that are more precious than what your parents want from you. That means you need support from those around you. And as someone who's considered lowly and small, meaning as a child, it's very difficult to express your whole heart frankly. But if you're not lucky enough to have such allies, there's still another way, which is much better than having to sit and face two formidable figures who always interrupt you or don't want to listen deeply. That's your letter. You can express your whole heart in a letter. Because if you send a letter, they have to read it. They have to read it from beginning to end without missing anything. But as I've suggested to many people, you should write it in 3 parts. The first part is to talk about the merits, what your parents have given you, your pride and honor towards your parents. The second part is to talk about the difficulties, the hardships and pain you're experiencing. Hope your parents will listen to the hidden corners of your soul that your parents may not know about or don't fully know. The third step is to talk about your aspirations. You want to go in that direction. You want to do that. You want your parents to understand that it's what truly suits you. And try to say gently and subtly that if your parents want you to do that, you'll do it with all your might, but you won't be happy. And you believe that when you're not happy, your parents won't be happy either. But for things that maybe your parents don't think are valuable or make you happy right now, you'll try to give yourself the chance to prove to your parents that you're truly happy with these things, living better every day. And every day your parents will witness you laughing and being happy with what you belong to. And you believe your parents will also be very happy. So a letter like that creates an opportunity for you to say what you want to say most. Because when you speak directly, you can't control your emotions, maybe because of pride, maybe because you can't restrain your emotions. You might retaliate or say things you shouldn't. In that letter, you can select what needs to be expressed. And even the most endearing things in your heart, meaning expressing your love for your parents, which you normally wouldn't say, you can say when you're writing the letter. And to write that letter, you need to meditate. You need to make your mind peaceful. Earlier, the singer trio Lin sang a moment of peace to soften the lips, but it should be to soften the heart. Because before, those lips were too stiff to speak. When there's peace, the lips soften, and you can start saying endearing things. That line is often sung wrong, but it's also good. I'll have to make her sing it right later. So, next, it's not just the letter. You also need to create a plan, a roadmap for your parents. Show them what you'll do to achieve these things. And the third step is how to achieve that, and achieve it over a period of 1, 2, or 3 years, clearly. A period of time for your parents to witness that your views are truly worthy of respect. Respect. And I wish you success.